Not knowing what to say in a conversation or not knowing how to start one. Tough situation to be in, especially during a time where we are all feeling lonelier than ever and we want to be more social. We want to make more friends, but we feel socially inept. Well, it's going to be hard no matter what, especially if it's been a while since you've greased the social wheels. But there are ways to change your perspective on social situations to a perspective that will make it a lot easier for you to think about what to say or how to act. So you're not hyper analyzing every move. You're not knowing, are my hands supposed to be in my pockets right now? Or should I be using more hand movements like they told me in those videos on Charisma on Command? Should I be doing this all the time? Will people think I'm more charismatic that way? Once you drop all that and you don't have to think about that, and naturally your most authentic way of socializing comes out through what I'm going to talk about in this video, oh my God, just the weight you'll feel lifted off is amazing. So I'm going to start this off like I've started off a lot of the videos on this channel recently. It was in a call in my self-mastery school. I had someone in there who was talking about how they haven't been socializing a lot recently. And like I just explained, they didn't really know what to say. They want to approach people, but they don't know how to not come off as weird or creepy. And then they don't know how to continue the conversation. It's just, you don't want to embarrass yourself. You also don't want to make the other person feel uncomfortable. And one of the other members, it wasn't even me, gave a really great, simple answer or solution to that problem. And he said, well, how would you want to be approached? So simple, right? Like, such a good question, though. How would you want to be approached? How would you want someone to come up to you? Think about all the times where you've had the best social interactions, or you've come out of a talk, a conversation, and you're just like, man, I feel fucking energized after that. Well, it's probably someone who's embodying what you want to embody in your conversations. And it's simply just a matter of picking up on what they're doing and then applying it to whatever is natural within your state of being and body language. That is your natural confidence, which varies a little bit from person to person. So ask yourself this question. How would you like to be approached? What are the best scenarios you can think of in your head where someone came up to you that you didn't know and you're like, wow, I really like that guy, or I really like that girl, or whoever. It's like they made such a lasting impression on me. And yet all they did was come up to me and say a few words. And then we got into a really long conversation, or it might not even have been one. Could just been some nice small talk. How did that person approach you? How did they make you feel comfortable? What did they start the conversation with? Ask yourself these questions and start to become more of that person in your own way. And I want to explain that part. But another reference I want to bring up first is I saw this on the Chris Williamson podcast, the Modern Wisdom podcast, recently with Dry Creek Wrangler School, that's his name. The old dude with the cowboy hat, who I've talked about in one of my videos on my main channel. And what he said to Chris was, I'd buy myself a beer. And it's great. Chris loved it. I love that too. Because it relates so heavily to what someone said in my self-mastery school call. It's like, be the person who you would buy a beer for. Become that person yourself in your own way. Would you buy yourself a beer right now? Look at yourself. Analyze yourself objectively, I guess. Do you think you're a kind person who's sociable and a likable, generally likable person? Doesn't even necessarily mean agreeable. In fact, agreeableness, I don't think is really conducive at all to likability. Because if you're just a yes man, if you're agreeing with everyone, you're just, the only thing you're adding to a conversation is yeah, totally. That's all you're saying. And you don't have any of your own input or opinions, which I feel like is a big thing with people in conversations these days. They're a little bit afraid to actually have their own viewpoint because they're afraid that they're going to trigger somebody or maybe make someone feel a little bit weird. It's a bit taboo to just not agree with the general group think of most of the population. But hey, that's an important point to bring up anyway. It's like, were one of the people that you found really likable and who approached you and you wish you could replicate them, were they someone who wasn't totally agreeable with anything, who had their own opinions, who had their own perspective to share to the conversation? Try to be that person too sometimes. And you might not have everybody like you with that approach, but that's how you build real friendships, man. That's how you build real friendships. I'm going to stop myself from going on a tangent in that path because I just realized I want to make a video completely on that. That's great. Okay, this video is great already. I already have another video idea after this. Perfect. So instead, I'm going to go into the avenue of how do you become the person who, after you reflected on it, is the person who you would like to be approached by. So what I like to think of is like general attributes and specific attributes. General attributes are attributes that everybody finds likable in a person, that you can take away from whatever anyone's doing in a conversation. So maybe they're just willing to be vulnerable. Maybe they are really great at complimenting on something very specific about your appearance. Because people love to do that. Like maybe you're wearing something that person has a lot of knowledge on, and they say, hey, I really like that specific brand that you're wearing. Where did you get it? Or something like that. It's like they have knowledge on that. It opens up a whole range of conversations. You can go into the fashion, whether you're into fashion or not, where you bought it. Maybe that then leads into, oh, I bought this in a different country. Oh, what were you doing in that country? It goes on and on. Notice what the person you liked the most that you were approached by does in a conversation, and categorize the general thing, like generalize the biggest aspects of their character, of their personality when they're talking. So, like I said, complimenting on specific things, that's like a general thing that anybody could do that would feel natural to anybody, and it wouldn't feel like you're faking it. And that's a better definition for like general attributes. Let's say they're really good at asking questions. They just ask really high quality questions that get you to think and that get you to share more about yourself. And maybe they weren't afraid to share stuff about themselves that was maybe a little bit embarrassing, and it made you feel like this is a real person that I'm talking to. Again, that's a general attribute that anyone could apply to their conversation and social skills that would make anyone more likable. And then maybe let's say they're non-judgmental. So if you say something embarrassing or you share something that maybe a lot of people think is weird or they don't like or they wouldn't give a shit about, but that person was finally the one person who really listened to you, then that's another general attribute. So we have all these general attributes. Then you ask yourself, okay, these are the general attributes. How do I apply these to my own personality? So let's give an example because that might be kind of complicated. So I'm going to use myself as an example here for we'll do the complimenting one. Just complimenting someone on something very specific about their appearance, let's say, is often a good way to get a conversation going and could go anywhere. So for me, what I would do in that situation, I'm someone who's, I'm not a super peppy, hey, how's it going guy. Like if you've met me in real life, you know that I'm pretty chill. I'm very stoic. I speak in a deep voice that can often be monotone, especially when I'm not speaking on these videos and trying to make my voice sound like it is really radio-like. And so how I would apply that to myself is, well, I wouldn't be like, wowzers, that's a great pants. Those are some great pants you got there. Levi's, huh? I love Levi's. Where'd you get them? Like, that's just not me. I don't know if that's anyone. There's people like that exist out there. That's not me. I would be like, yo, dude, I mean, Levi's are some of my favorite brands. I love that. I love those pants. Where did you get those? because I've been looking for a Levi's store near me. It would be like that tone. That's how I would apply that general attribute to my specific personality. Another thing people might be asking, okay, what if I'm just fucking boring? Like, what if my natural personality right now is boring and I'm not happy with who I am? And I'm not, like, I don't even know how I could apply that to my specific personality because I feel like I don't have a personality. I don't know who I am. Well, there are certain times where the phrase fake it till you make it is actually quite useful. Fake it till you make it is, let's see if I can explain this. Fake it till you make it is grabbing different traits and attributes from other people and then replicating that almost to a T because you're just trying to create some sort of semblance of a personality or a more charismatic person. And then you fine tune it over time to have all these attributes, but in your own way. So that's when I say fake it till you make it is useful. It's useful when it's going to feel like faking it at first because you've never been a person who is charismatic or has really taken the time to find themselves. And it's going to feel like you're faking all these charisma features and this sort of body language and this sort of tone. But eventually, the more that you do it, not only are you going to be making it and becoming more of that person, but you're going to find your own style and your own way of just taking those attributes and applying them to yourself. So naturally over time, fake it till you make it becomes make it. But a better way of saying that is like fake it till you make it and then make it your own. So that's what I would say to people with that sort of question. Like right now, I have no, let's say like blank canvas to write on or to apply to. The canvas just isn't there completely. The canvas of who I am, I just don't know who the hell I am. And I just feel like I have no personality. I'm boring. That's what I would say to you. Grab those attributes that you find after asking those questions that I went over earlier, and then fake them kind of. It's going to feel fake at first. And then eventually it's going to feel as natural as anything else that you do. And you're going to find that you naturally start to shape those characteristics and those personality traits and those attributes to your own body and genetics and whatever. Like that's what happened to me. I did this through kind of YouTube. YouTube was really uncomfortable at first, like being on the camera. I didn't really know how to develop my camera personality. And so if you watch like my earliest videos, I feel kind of fake on camera, but also just totally uncomfortable because I was trying to be that confident, charismatic person on camera. And especially if you go a little bit farther into my YouTube channel, not the very first videos, but the videos where I was starting to talk about like vegan fitness, you'll see me going like, what's up everybody? This is your man. Like, that's not who I was at all, but I was still trying to figure it out. And eventually I did figure it out. Now on camera, like I just feel totally natural. Like I've developed this camera personality and it doesn't feel forced. It doesn't feel fake. And I'm sure it doesn't come off as fake to you guys. Maybe it does. I'd like to think that it doesn't. And that's what's going to happen to you when you start to ask yourself, who is the person I would want to be approached by? What characteristics and traits and attributes does that person have? How can I apply that? Start applying that more. And then naturally over time, it'll refine and shape itself into more of what makes you you. And you'll figure that out. You'll figure out who you are by first... Wait, I'm about to figure out a fire quote here. You'll figure out who you are... Hold on. You'll figure out who you are by first replicating who you want to be, then becoming it. I mean, it's not as succinct as fake it till you make it, but it's more detailed and better for what I'm trying to explain. Also, I think it's important to say, like, some days you're not going to want to talk to people and you're not going to be that charismatic guy. And that's fine, man. Like, sometimes you're fucking tired and you just don't have that social battery, especially if you're an introvert. And that's totally okay. It doesn't have to be like that every single day. I love talking about this stuff, collaborating with other people who are into self-improvement and just talking about deep, meaningful things that actually impact your life in a positive way. That's why I created Self Mastery School. And just like you've seen in these videos and heard me talk about, the amount of discoveries we have in there is amazing. It's amazing. It's the best thing I've ever created. And everybody in there is a good friend. And we're all holding each other accountable and setting a standard for each other to meet. So if you want to join that, if you want to join us in becoming our most actualized version, and you want more guidance from an entire group of people, then you can go to the link in my description and join Self Mastery School. And that is it for this video. Yeah.